At some time, more than likely in your life, regardless of what career path you choose, you're going to have to create a business letter. Business letters include all kinds of things like requests, inquiries, confirmations, acknowledgments, recommendations, notifications, responses, thank you notes, invitations, offers, referrals, complaints, even more, right? So this chapter, we're going to follow some generally accepted guidelines for writing letters and using Word to create those business letters. In this video and the ones that are going to follow, we're going to write a business letter that's a thank you letter from a volunteer applicant to a volunteer organization. And the first thing that we want to do when we create that letter is to create a letterhead. So you've got in front of you now some examples of letterheads, and the cost of pre-printed letterheads can be very high. So one alternative is to create your own letterhead and then save it on a file. Open that file whenever you want to create a letter at a later time. Let's start with what exactly a letterhead is. A letterhead is a section of the letter that identifies an organization or an individual, and it often appears at the top of the letter. It's important that the letterhead appropriately reflect the essence of the organization or the individual. You should use text, graphics, and formats and colors that reflect the organization or the individual. There are 6 elements to a letterhead, and so we want to talk about what 6 things you need to include. When you create your letterhead, you want to have the complete legal name of the individual, group, or company, the complete mailing address, phone number and fax number if applicable, email address, web address if applicable, and many letterheads include a logo. Now, I told you earlier that many letterheads are at the top of the page, but that's not always the case. Sometimes letterheads can be on the left or right margin, and other times people will choose to split the letterhead between the top and the bottom of the paper. So maybe, for example, the name and the logo go on the top and then the address goes on the bottom. So when you're creating your letterhead, you want to make sure that you have an easy to read font and that you make the organization or name pop by increasing the font size, perhaps bolding, italicizing, or using different colors. So the first thing that we want to do is open our Word document. So we'll go to Word, open it up, and we're going to insert a drawing object. So what is a drawing object? It's a graphic that you use. It's a graphic that you create, using Word. So the way that we do that is we go to Insert, and we click on Shapes, and we're going to insert a rectangle for our graphic, for our letterhead. Okay. Why would we want to put an individual's name on a rectangle? Well, we do that because it draws the eye to it and creates emphasis and visual appeal. Okay. Now, I want to talk to you about floating versus inline objects. When you insert an object into a document, Word inserts it either as an inline object or a floating object. An inline object is one that's part of the paragraph. The location is changed by changing the paragraph settings, centering, right align, something like that. Floating object is an object positioned at a specific location in the document or layered over or behind text in the document. The floating object, no surprise, is more flexible. So our object is a floating object. Now, if we want to change the position of our object, what we need to do is make sure that we are still in the Format tab, go to Position, and we actually want to center at the top, and you'll notice it says with square text wrapping, which we're going to end up needing to change, but we're going to want to go ahead and click on that. Okay. Now, we don't want our words to be in line with this box, so we're going to click on Wrap Text, and we're going to change it to top and bottom because we want the letterhead above the contents of the letter when we type it instead of covering the contents of the letter. The next thing we're going to do is apply a shape style. A shape style is something that allows you to change the appearance of the shape easily, and so we can actually kind of set a tone with that. So we're going to click on the More button, which drops down, and we have lots of different options. And we're going to land on this second column over, the subtle effect blue, and we're going to click on that. Okay. Now the next thing that we want to do is we want to go ahead and add text to the shape. So we're going to right click on our picture and click on Add Text. Then I want you to type in Alexander Lee Samaras. You're going to use the increase font size button to change the font size. Let's go ahead and select our text, head home, and instead of changing it here, let's use the increase font size button and go up to 24. Why are we changing it to 24? Because we want to make it as large as we possibly can within the text box. Now we're going to bold our our text. And the next thing we want to do is to change our document theme. Okay. So let's talk about document themes so you know a little bit about them. Document theme is a coordinated combination of colors, fonts, and effects. Okay. The default document theme for Word is Office. And that has the Calibri and Calibri Light font, and then it uses shades of blue and gray. We're actually going to change ours to organic. So let's go to the Design tab, come over here to Themes, and then go down to Organic, and we're going to click on it. Why do we want to choose organic? Well, it goes back to the person that we're writing this letter for. We want to use shades of green, brown, and blue in our letterhead because those colors are associated with growth, honesty, dependability, and integrity. We also want that serif font. Remember, that's the font that has short decorative lines on some of the characters. And organic theme includes all of those things. So we're going to go ahead and make that switch. Now we want to insert some clip art, but before we do, let's come down here and get out of the shape that we inserted and click onto the white part. So clip art, just so that we're clear about what we're doing, is a predefined graphic. So we're going to go ahead and click on Insert. And what we're going to look for are books. Our author, the person we're writing this for, he enjoys reading books. So once this pulls up, we'll load some clip art of books. Mine's moving slowly. Let me see if I can get it to load again. There we go. Sometimes you just have to try a few times. Now you do the same thing, scroll down, and you'll see this large stack of colorful books. I love it. Let's take it and we're going to insert it. Now that is a huge graphic. Okay. Too huge, in fact, for our letterhead. We wouldn't have any room to actually write a letter. So we're going to have to resize it. I've already showed you guys how you can lower it by using the sizing handles, but there's another way that you can do this. You can, when you're on the picture and you've got the format tool, you can click on this advanced layout size box, and right down here where it says 100%, highlight that and click in 14%, because what we're going to do, or just 14, it'll change it to percent in a minute, because what we're going to do is we're going to just say to take it down to the size 14% of what it is. If you tab at this point, it'll automatically take it over to width and change it to the same. And it's extremely important that you make sure this box right here, lock aspect ratio, is checked like it is. Okay. Click OK, and we've got it reduced. So that's a way to make sure you don't lose any of your the integrity of your picture. All right, I'll be back in just a moment.